I'm your host, Peter Komendowski, and welcome to Surviving Bad, where we explore Iowa stories of survival, hope, and inspiration. Even in the grasp of addiction, there can be reason for hope. Our guest, Tara, tells it like it is. DHS and Parent Partners helped her save her life and her family. Now sober and drug-free, she is a survivor. Joining us are Clint Kendrick from Children and Families of Iowa and Parent Partner Chanda Burton. Together, they represent a way of healing and a path to hope in situations that can sometimes look hopeless. Let us get to know them and hear their stories. Welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're here. Let's start with Tara.
Hi, I'm Tara Jennings, and I'm a Parent Partner Coordinator here in the Cedar Rapids area. My story started about 6 years ago. Actually, I became DHS involved. My daughter and I were with her father, he was very domestic. There was a domestic violence relationship, and it was very toxic in what you would say. He and I both also used IV meth, and we became involved with the Department of Human Services because we had a huge fight at one point in time. I do know that it took about 2 months for me to finally decide to leave him. And once I was able to leave him and him go to jail, I was able to get my daughter back in my care, but it took a lot of treatment and it took a lot of getting real with myself, per se. My daughter was only 2 years old at the time, so she doesn't really remember much of it. I was able to go to the heart of Iowa. I spent actually a year there. I was very grateful that insurance covered it during all of that time because that doesn't always happen. My daughter was removed and she was placed with her grandma for, like I said, about 2 months prior to that. She was able to see me routinely during that time. Unfortunately, I was not in a place to watch her or be coherent with her. I had meth-induced psychosis at times. I was just very unfit. Like I said, I went to the Heart of Iowa. Within a month, she was able to come live with me at the Heart of Iowa, which was very nice. She and I grew and had a huge bond there. My case stayed open for almost 2 years just because they wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to go back with my daughter's dad. The one thing that I do know that before I finally left him fully, he did try to choke me to the point where I was unconscious. And so I think that kind of finally said, hey, I'm done with them. I'm done. I know that I can't do this anymore. I have to be able to survive and be a parent to my daughter. I also remember telling him to give, he asked if I would sign over my rights to his mother, and I refused at the time because I knew if I signed my rights over, I would definitely not see her ever again. And so to me, it was very important that I continued to do that, that I'd fight for her because I knew if I didn't fight for her, nobody would. And so
well, we can give you a little break for a bit because that's quite a lot you've shared with us. I mean,
I know, and I feel like I'm all over the place. So
no, you've come a long way though, because you're doing really well. I want to come back to touch on some of those key things that happened that helped you get it all together. Chanda, let's hear about why you're here today.
First, thanks for having me. I really appreciate this opportunity. I am Chanda Burton. I was born and raised here in Cedar Rapids. I've been here my whole life, 34 years now. I have 2 daughters, one who's 18 and one who's 2 years old. My 18-year-old was with me during my DHS case, which also involved meth. It also included alcohol and marijuana. I am almost 4 years clean now from all substances, which is a huge accomplishment for myself. For a long time, I didn't see the steps that I have taken and was actually able to see the growth. I'm able to see that so much more now. especially as I'm sitting here today with this opportunity. So thank you.
And we appreciate you being here because, what's really amazing is that both of you have sort of turned the tables on the problems and now become part of the solution yourselves. Clint, this is where you come in. You work with an organization that really has a lot to do with bringing these teams together to help people. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
All right. My name is Clint Kendrick. I am an employee for Children and Families of Iowa. More specifically, I work in the Parent Partner program. I'm what they call the Cedar Rapids Service Area Coordinator. And that's a fancy term for I have 17 counties that I serve. And I am there basically to assist the local coordinators, manage their areas, and just kind of talk them through maybe difficult situations, help them through the process of, running the program. So, we Parent Partners are statewide, and I am so glad to be a part of this program. I mean, I came from retail, a degree in business management, and I thought I was going to, chase the American dream of money and power. And I started doing that and decided, I really don't get anything out of it. Like I don't feel anything. So this opportunity came up and I jumped on it. Couldn't be happier for me and my family. It's been amazing working with everybody that I work with, and yeah.
Well, thank you very much. We're going to take a short break, and we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Tara, Clint, and Chanda. See you after the break. You don't want to miss this.
The black truck? Hey, Christina from accounting.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, I used to date a girl named Christina.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then she dumped me for my best friend. You want to see some photos of them that I took?
I don't.
I thought we talked about this, buddy.
Buzzing overshared again?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna call a car.
That's a smart idea.
So yeah, I know, that's why I did it.
Hey, you're gonna get back to the top of the mountain.
Does that mean I'm gonna get back with Christina?
No.
Oh.
No.
Every second, 127 new devices connect to the internet. You can feel it happening, our digital world expanding with every breath. We're entering a whole new era of connectivity, and MediaCom will be ready to power it with one of the nation's first 10G platforms. We'll be bringing you more speed, more capacity, more security, and the power to do more than you ever dreamed possible.
Welcome back to Surviving Bad. I'm your host, Peter Komendowski, and we're talking with Tara, Clinton, and Chanda about a partnership that grew out of the need to deal with addiction to drugs and alcohol and the opportunity to build a path towards healing a family. Tara, you gave us a great view of some of the struggles you went through. You're clean and sober almost 6 years now, but early on, some things really helped you turn the corner. Tell us about those.
Well, like I had said at the beginning, my stay with the Heart of Iowa for a year really helped my case, and it just helped me become a better mother. It helped me become a person in society that could maintain a job, and I could do all of it sober. I also built a network around, Celebrate Recovery. I did a lot of meetings, and I did AA. I worked the steps. I also was able to start Parent Partners within a few weeks of leaving the Heart of Iowa, because you had to have a year of sobriety, which was nice. So there was one time right before I had started as Parent Partner, there were a few people that went to a bar and I went out with them, and they all drank except for me, which was nice because I had planned to do this Parent Partner thing, and I knew if I drank, I would never come back. I would be drinking every day because I also had an issue with alcohol. So I did that. I also did the MAT program. I took the Vivitrol shot once a month. That helped with my cravings. I continued to meet with an advocate for my domestic violence stuff, which helped just stay away from my daughter's father and still continue and to just build that life without him. There just have been so many things. I know that I've just had to keep an open mind throughout the whole process.
You know, that it's sort of inspiring to see that you tried about everything, that you didn't limit yourself. You tried faith-based, non-faith-based, but the idea of parent partners, you know, like many people we've met on this show, that process was instrumental in building this long-term health. What were some of the aspects of parent partners that still to this day inspire you, that initially got your attention to?
Well, when I first started, I didn't even know that it was a paid program. I thought I was going to do it just to give back. And I wanted to help people navigate through the system. I had a parent partner myself, and she helped me through my whole DHS case. She also helped me. She had domestic violence in her past, and she had drug addiction in her past. So it was very beneficial to go through all of this and know that she's been through it herself. And that's the thing about parent partners, is we know what it feels like. So.
How big a community is it? I mean, for many of us, we don't really recognize the problems, whether it's hunger, homelessness, domestic abuse. But I mean, your experience with working with parent partners, are there a lot more women affected by that than we might know?
Oh, yes. I mean, we have several parent partners that have come and gone and moved on to other things. And then you also have just all the people that we support in the area. I know here in Linn County, we support several families. So.
And Chanda, you're also giving back as a parent partner.
That is correct. I was actually given that opportunity because of Tara. Tara was my parent partner. So I was really blessed to be able to give back in that sense. I also, like Tara, was at the Heart of Iowa a few years later. Again, my clean date is November 17th, 2017. I stayed at the Heart of Iowa also for about a year. And I used to see Tara come in every so often. And I was just really curious, like, who is this lady and what is she doing here? She doesn't live here. I know how these rules go, but I in a sense, introduced myself and asked what she does and what she was doing. She told me that she was a parent partner, asked me if I have a DHS case, which I thought was kind of a weird question. I kind of shied away from the answer, but I was like, yeah. And she said, okay, great, I can help you. And from there, we've really just been connected. She has been a huge support in my life. She was a huge support during my DHS case. She actually helped me just to learn how to advocate for myself and be honest about situations that I honestly thought that I could, kind of slide under the rug. So with Tara being able to guide me through those things because she had been through them before, it was extremely helpful.
Now, there's parent partners, and that process really accepts people in any way they want to come to the program. So some, like Tara, can be really outspoken about what she went through, and others aren't that comfortable, but they can still have a productive experience of parent partners without having to spill their whole testimonial out to the world.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I was actually taught, some through training and just some through going through things with Tara, it's not important to share my entire story with someone right off the bat, especially because that can be overwhelming for someone. I sometimes deal with moms that do not have substance abuse in their history. So me sharing my war stories is not beneficial to them. I share things with my moms, not so much on a need to know basis, but more so as they become more comfortable with me. If they share, hey, I stubbed my toe 6 times today, I can relate to things like that. I've stubbed my toe 7 times today, and that's something that can kind of open up the conversation, just as an example.
That's really great to know. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to ask Clint to tell us a little bit more about this Parent Partners program that's been so influential. See you all after the break. You don't want to miss this.
Today, More than ever, you need fast, reliable internet. At MediaCom, we want you to know you can count on us. Our fiber-powered 100% gigabit technology network was built for the future. We have enormous capacity and power and 99.99% network reliability. So even though these are uncertain times, we're prepared. And you can be certain we'll keep your world connected.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. He's here. He's here. Wait. What? I can't drive. Why? My. Oh.
Welcome back to Surviving Bad. We're talking to Tara and Chanda and Clint about battles with addiction and people that get sober and rebuild their families. And what we're starting to see is that there's a tremendous amount of power in people working together. It fosters hope, inspires solutions, and there's a personal touch in this Parent Partners program. It's something that really matters when people need help. Clint, tell us a little bit about how Parent Partners works and how people might get connected if they have a problem.
All right, thank you. So Parent Partners is a statewide program. It is in every county in Iowa, so there is access to it anywhere in the state. We generally work with families that have DHS cases where there's been some sort of disruption, children removed for whatever reason. And at that point, we can then get referrals for those families and start supporting them. And you know, the good thing with our program is we don't necessarily rely on one referral source. Like we can take a name and a number, and you know, the coordinator would be more than happy to backtrack it and try to get that referral in. We do a lot of work to make sure we can get in and support as many families as possible.
Now, to somebody scared and alone out there that's watching this show, or that knows somebody that's scared and alone that's watching this show, what would be their first step? What would be their point of contact? Where would they go?
So if you, since we do take DHS cases, your caseworker would be the first stop in trying to get a referral to Parent Partners. From there, we have, you know, talk to, if you're, you know, in Heart of Iowa or Hope House, a residential substance abuse facility. We can also, we Parent Partners go into those places in support of other parents. And in turn, we can get those names and try to get them support, try to get those referrals.
What is the number? How many people are actually engaged in DHS cases and living in some of these facilities to get their lives together in Iowa? What are the numbers like?
So I don't know the exact numbers. Our program in our service area, so in the Cedar Rapids service area, 17 counties, we have between 180 and 200 families that we serve through Parent Partners. Parent Partner wise, we have 25, I'm going to say 25 to 30 Parent Partners that serve those families in that area. It's something that it's a ever evolving, constantly moving thing. We get referrals daily, it seems like sometimes, and it's just us getting in contact, getting a Parent Partner on the case right when we get it, to have them reach out as soon as possible. Our idea is to get them, you know, as early as possible in that case. That way we can support them through the entire process. That way, like you mentioned, they're not alone. You know, they have somebody that they can talk to that knows. The beauty of this program is that the Parent Partners know what they're going through. because they've lived it, they've been there. And that's one of the amazing things about this program that many other programs can't say it and don't have, is that just lived experience.
You know, Chanda, I had a question for you. You know, you sort of felt Tara's energy when she came in, but you also knew other women that were living in these facilities. What's it like for them to be hoping and yet, you know, trying to connect with sort of this healing power of Parent Partners? Is it a hard step for people to take?
It really is. I know for me specifically, I would have never imagined going to an inpatient or to treatment, period. Again, because I had my DHS case, it was one of those things that was strongly suggested. And when I did, things really opened up for me. Unfortunately, my first week at the Heart of Iowa, I did relapse. I relapsed on meth, and there was a lot of people that did not know. My counselors didn't know. A lot of the people that were there had no idea. It was hard for me to be 100% vulnerable, which is what I learned I needed to do once I was able to open up and confess about my relapse. But at the same time, I'm grateful for that relapse because it opened my eyes to be able to be receptive of the information, to gain some of the knowledge, the resources, and the different options that I had. I was also involved in NA meetings there, AA meetings, Al-Anon. I, finally learned some verbiage about words that I could use and words that were important, but I just did not actually care to pay attention to at that time while I was still using. But one thing I know after I confessed about my relapse there, a lot of the girls saw me as vulnerable, very open, honest, and willing, which is some verbiage from my 12-step program that gave them some hope. It showed them that even though you do fall, it's okay to get back up. It's important to get back up, and sometimes you can get back up stronger. And I feel like a lot of the girls that I was there with seen me as inspiration, not just because of my story, but because I was honest about something that a lot of people aren't. And sometimes a lot of people still struggle with. But my struggle happened in a place where I was able to grow, able to overcome that. And I'm really grateful for that.
These are great points. We're going to take a short break, and afterwards we're going to invite Tara, Chanda, and Clint to share some final comments and advice. Stay tuned. You don't want to miss this.
If I could go back and change it all, I would. I think I'm gonna miss you the most. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Maybe it's just the little moments. If I could go back and change it all, if I could go back, I would. But I can't.
Every second, 127 new devices connect to the internet. You can feel it happening. Our digital world expanding with every breath. We're entering a whole new era of connectivity, and MediaCom will be ready to power it with one of the nation's first 10G platforms. We'll be bringing you more speed, more capacity, more security, and the power to do more than you ever dreamed possible.
Today on Surviving Bad, we're talking about the helping hands that can bring you back from addiction to drugs and alcohol, keep your family strong, and give you a reason for hope in even the darkest of times. Let's hear a little bit what our guests have to share, their final words. Clint, a question for you. What inspires you most about this job? What gives you the most satisfaction?
Man, this job just constantly hits you with hope and perseverance. Just the stories that you get to hear, daily sometimes is just amazing. And it just puts perspective on just life in general for me, like just knowing that there's always hope, even from the darkest depths of despair where I mean, it would be so easy to give up and nobody would blame you. To hear the stories and how they rise out of that, constantly gives me hope.
That's really good. Now a question for you, Tara. If you could go back sometime farther than 6 years ago and meet your younger self before this life had this chance to unravel and then grow back again to where you are today, what would you tell yourself?
I would tell myself to not judge because, to be honest, I know that I would say, oh, I'd never done this or I'm never going to do that. And I always ended up crossing that line. So I would tell you that I would ask myself not to judge anything because it just goes to show that you can cross that line anytime you want.
So those risks and those things for what other people wanted you to do just didn't pay off, did they?
They did not.
But you know, you did pretty good and you're helping people now.
I did. And it's very beneficial to see other people get to be on the other side now. So.
That's a good thing. And Chanda, you've had a view of the world like very few people have, and you're talking to an audience that many of us have never experienced what you've been through. What advice would you share?
I would share to heal. I know for me, my addiction started because of grief. I did not grieve properly. I chose to use drugs instead, which in turn turned my life upside down. So for me, I would say heal in the most beneficial way possible. Reach out to people, ask for help. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of strength, because that way you know what you can get out of it. You know what's beneficial to you. And most importantly, never lose hope. It's not over until it's over. So as long as you have another day, just keep putting your best foot forward.
That is some great advice. I thank you all for joining us today. And for those of you watching, check out our website, healthyiowa.org, for more information. And keep your eye on Mediacom MC22 for our next episode of Surviving Bad, where we explore Iowa stories of survival, hope, and inspiration. On Mediacom MC22, your local programming leader.